Hello everybody and welcome to episode 10 of hashtag TotalMarkOut. After 18 weeks of arguing, fighting and general absurdity, we are very proud to have reached the 10th episode in our series without having actually killed each other. Although in fairness, Erik Van Djismie, the day's servant, isn't here. Unfortunately, he's been
suspended for 14 days.
Yeah, he basically broke the wellness policy of hashtag TotalMarkOut, and therefore he cannot be on the show.
So the next episode.
Yeah, but that's why it's a 14-day suspension. You don't go partying when there's mark work to be done. You're either a mark or you're not a mark. That's how it works. Unless, in fairness, that party is a WWE-related, fancy dress,
Ooh.
Actually, I wouldn't mind my girlfriend dressing up as Super Stacy.
I always wondered who she was.
I know. Anyway, let's introduce the usual panel. By usual, I mean the unusual one isn't here. First, we have the host of the soon-to-debut show, Bookmark, a moderator and the personality behind the Undead Geek Entertainment. He is the one, he is the only, he is the new regular guest on hashtag Shout. Dan the Geek King Adamson! How you doing, Geek?
I'm cool, man. I'm ready to go.
And I am the personality behind the Wandering Edge Productions and author of Permit Me to Dream, available at all good online bookstores. Bye. The producer, Steve Jones, Stay 13, and thank you everybody for joining us. As I said,
how are you, boss?
I'm actually not too bad. I'm doing quite well. Okay. I'm very excited to do the show. We've got a brand new format. We're going to try and make the show basically 90 minutes or less from now on, just for the sake of giving you guys a more entertaining podcast, because I feel we sometimes do go a bit on, we do go on a bit too much. So we're condensing it down, hopefully bringing you a better show, which is rather ironic considering what our news is going to be this episode. Yes. But first, this episode will be recapping WWE television from May 6th to May 17th. Also, we head towards this month's WWE pay-per-view, Over the Limit. That takes place this Sunday, so tomorrow, by the time you're listening to this podcast, on May 20th at the PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina.
Contact your local pay-per-view providers.
Bye. Also, we'll have the geeks you gotta watch, and much more. So let's kick off with the WWE recap. Okay, so we're going to start the recap. Basically, we address the Raws as they go on, then we address the SmackDown, the NXT, and all that jazz. So let's kick off with what happened on WWE Raw May 7th. Now, there's a lot that happened. We're going to... Okay, the Messiah of Wrestling did appear on Monday Night.
The Rabbi of the Revolution!
Yes.
He's back!
He is... Basically, in case you don't know, here's the storyline so far. The week beforehand, not the week before, but the fortnight beforehand, Brock Lesnar, after the pay-per-view, broke kayfabe Triple H's arm. Well, since then, Brock Lesnar was, his contract was in limbo, kayfabe again, and Paul Heyman came out on the May 7th Raw to address it. Basically, he was speaking as the legal counsel of Brock Lesnar, where he read out a statement to say that Brock Lesnar...
Oh, who cares all that shit? Paulie's back.
Yeah. The crowd were dead.
No, that was a small rumble.
No, I'm talking about... I'm not saying that this is Paulie's fault. This is the fans' fault. Mm-hmm. You need to know who the motherfuck Paul Heyman is. Now, you can
I'm a Kool-Aid drinker.
Yeah, you can, what's the term? You can back me up on this. Yep. There is a better word for it, But I don't like ECW. I've never liked ECW. I never will like ECW, but I respect it because it was a major part of wrestling history.
The Revolution.
And Paul Heyman ushered that in. He took Eastern Championship Wrestling and went, got an idea. And he made it into this huge cult, and... You don't just speak, Dan. You've got this big smile on your face. Go ahead.
Paulie?
Yeah.
The Messiah of the New Breed Unleashed. The Rabbi of the Revolution. The swinging schlong of the Extreme came back. Yeah. And this time not to pour Kool-Aid down anyone's throat. This time just to piss off everyone. And you know what? That's what Paulie's best at. Yeah. It is us against you. And whether you liked it or not, Paulie has come back. And you will have fans cheer for Paulie and Brock.
And why does he bulge out with a ponytail? Because he's beautiful and he knows it. Those were his words when he was on Twitter. But here's the thing, the one question I've got to ask. Did CM Punk spoil it? Because the minute before... Basically, because we had a commercial break in America and England for the show. But just before the break, CM Punk posted a photo of Paul Heyman saying this guy's coming out next.
Yeah.
And there was a picture of Paul Heyman. Now, I'm usually a big fan of CM Punk, but I have to say that I can understand why people are saying that he spoiled it, and I kind of agree. I understand the other side of the argument, which people think I should be making, which is, but the people who weren't really watching Raw are going to watch it now that Paul Heyman's out. But at the same time, people will go back and watch a show if they missed it, and they go, well, hang on, Paul Heyman was back, we'll go watch it. And then, they will get their revenue. They will get it from the live show.
I think what the thing was Punk tweeted it, but it was supposed to be on a delay. Punk's tweets hadn't been. He said that his tweets hadn't been working all day, so he thought, "What's the harm in tweeting a photo?" Because by the time I tweet it, he'll be out in the ring anyway.
At least he didn't say he was hacked.
Yeah, he just turned around and said, "I tweeted it. My tweets hadn't been working all day. Thought I might as well. What's the harm in this one?" Turns out that was the only one that worked right all day long.
Sod's Law.
Yeah.
Or Murphy's Law, because nobody else calls it Murphy's Law, even though that's his original name. But that's a rant for shout, not for Total Market. So Paul Heyman's return, what did we, actually, before we even talk about the next Raw, I want to ask you, what do you think of Paul Heyman's return?
Paul Heyman's return is great. And not just because I'm a ECW mark, or not because I love Paul Heyman.
Who else was going to do it, though?
It was great because of the fact that if you have one person who can be the mouthpiece for the next big thing, Brock Lesnar, it's the guy who coined the phrase, the next big thing, Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
It's the man that, not only in the WWE, but in the UFC, in Japan, and anywhere else that he's been, has worked for him as a mouthpiece. It is the Eric Bischoff to the Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at how this transferred over onto the next week's episode, the May 14th Raw, which happened this week, where Triple H started the show, first of all by talking to Johnny Ace, more about that later.
Yeah.
And then he came down to address Brock Lesnar, and what I thought was a fantastic promo.
Great.
Triple H was talking about how Brock Lesnar's...
Perfect.
Yeah, Triple H talked about how Brock Lesnar's quit at everything that he's ever been good at. Talk about he quit WWE when he was forced to a position which he didn't like, that he couldn't win. He went to UFC and he quit there. Obviously, again, we're talking kayfabe because obviously we know why he left UFC. Triple H knows why he left UFC. And you get a bunch of fans over going, "You left because of medical reasons." He's like, "No, dude, it's called kayfabe. You don't suspend your disbelief. You have a responsibility to play along. You don't watch a movie and go, they're all actors. Dumb fucks." But, so basically he's put this idea that, Brock Lesnar quits everything.
Yes, that's what it's saying. Brock's a quitter.
And then Paul Heyman came out with another lawyer and said that Triple H is being sued. Now, I have issue with this storyline.
Yes, because we're going very real here.
But again, this is where I go, as a fan, I accept this as storyline. Again, like when I watch a movie, and I tend to take a Japanese point of view. Like when you look at things like Final Fantasy and all that, the Japanese trend tends to be accept what is put in front of you as reality as you know it. So if they say in this world people can fly, just accept it and then you'll get the movie. In this case, Paul Heyman Triple H is being sued by Brock Lesnar for breach of contract. Now the reality of it would be that though the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations signed the contract, any additional stuff that's going to be added onto that
would have to be okayed by his boss.
Yeah, it would have to be okayed for three reasons. First of all, we're talking about changing the name of Raw, which the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations doesn't actually have the authority to do. And
let's just get it out.
Yeah.
This show has always been Monday Night Raw, except when it was the Raw Zone, Raw is War, and
Raw Super Show.
Raw Super Show.
But you kind of got what he meant. Yeah. But again, I'll give most marks this one. Yeah, that was pretty stupid of Triple H to say. But the thing is, first of all, changing the name of the show, that could only be okayed by Vince McMahon, right? Because even the general manager,
possibly the CWO.
Yeah, the CWO as well. The private jet, again, that's not the Executive Vice President's territory. Even he has to pay for it, or they have to get written in his contract. Again, Vince McMahon would have to okay that, and Vince McMahon would have to okay that one because he had to okay Triple H's use of it.
Yeah.
Third of all, the Rays issue. Now, the Rays That is the arguable one, because the executive vice president has the right to increase the risk.
But all that goes to his boss.
But all that, again, goes to his boss. So there are precedents set in place. But for storyline purposes, I'm happy to say, okay, fine, he breached.
Yep.
But however, if this does end with Brock Lesnar losing this lawsuit, then I would be blown away. I'd be like, great, well done.
Reportedly, it's just to bury him. He's come back to be buried. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't believe that for a minute. I think he's going to have a couple. He's going to get what he wants. It's just going to appear he's going to get buried.
Does Brock Lesnar really care about being made to look strong, or does he care more about getting a paycheck? I'm not being eccentric.
I think Brock Lesnar wants to look strong.
Well, here's my point. I don't have a problem with anybody wanting to make a buck in wrestling.
But can you see him coming back for a year? Minimal dates and just getting buried on TV every time he's on.
No, they have to give him a win.
You know what I mean?
No, they do have to give him a win. But you know when they talk about legitimizing WWE, everyone says, "Oh, that's Brock Lesnar's going to do." He says, "Yeah, but they haven't told you how they're going to use Brock to do that."
Yeah.
And besides, if you want someone to legitimize WWE, here's your first tip: get Cena out. And I'm not doing this to piss people off, because I know we've got some people that do like Cena, and this isn't anything to do with that. I will say one thing before we talk about Cena later on tonight, which is basically he's got an almost broken arm. Then it turns out no, it's actually not that bad. And then I'm fine, nothing wrong with it. So it's like, okay, hang on.
It's getting drained every day, but I can still fling it around.
Yeah, so I'm just saying. But anyway,
but that's something to fun later.
Heyman was then assaulted by Triple H, who basically grabbed
assault and battery.
Yeah, who basically Triple H grabbed his face,
which is assault and battery.
Yeah,
the legal definition of assault is any movement or action that causes you to feel yourself for another person, and battery is any physical confrontation that actually results in you being touched.
Yeah, so basically,
so Heyman has a case.
Yeah, so basically we've got some realism in this one. Great storyline, and then Heyman, Triple H leaves by saying, tell Brock he's going to get everything that he's got coming to him.
Match!
Yeah. Paul Heyman says he's going to sue him, and then we cue to Mike McCall and G33K who look disgusted with him. They both told each other, agreeing on the same principle. Heyman leaves off camera.
Yeah, Heyman leaves off camera to a huge ovation.
Yeah.
Heyman gets a pop, and they do it off camera so that nobody can see it's Heyman getting the pop.
Yeah, because we can't hear.
No, it's to imply that it's to Triple H.
Yeah, I know.
Fair enough. People are going to say this about Triple H, right? But it's not. That is all the directors being told when they leave, don't turn on Heyman.
Alright, so let's move on. We're going back to Raw 7. Johnny S talks about...
Sorry, who?
John Laurinaitis, the Executive Vice President of Talent Relations, and the General Manager of Raw and SmackDown, the face of People Power.
People Power.
Right? He talks about his match at Over the Limit. He talks about how he's not going to be disrespected anymore.
He glamorizes his career in Japan.
Yeah. And from now on, anyone who makes fun of my voice is going to be... Yeah,
I
don't have a WWE contract. Fuck you.
Fucking bullshit.
So basically...
So then you hear the, cult of personality.
Yes.
And out walks Colt Cabana's best friend, CM Punk.
That's his claim to fame, is it?
Yes, that's his... He's riding Colt Cabana's coattails all the way to the top. Right? Colt Boom Boom Cabana all the way to the top, baby.
Colt Cabana. But anyway, is he still the NWA World Heavyweight Champion?
He's still the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. They're doing a 7 matches of hell.
And that's cool.
So he comes out and he makes fun of him and his voice, and even goes to the point where he says that he's glamorized. I do love how you glamorized your Japanese career.
Yeah, I believe he used the phrase great history revisionist.
Yes, that's the one,
And
it's true.
And
he was shit in Japan.
But what was
the reason Dr. Death hurt your vocal cord? Because he was your tag team partner and didn't like you.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder why.
Mind you, big pop for the mention of Dr. Death Steve Williams.
Yeah, that was weird, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was going...
The fans don't know who Heyman is.
Yeah.
But they popped for Dr. Death.
Yeah.
And they weren't even in the South. Where he made his name. The last time these people watched Dr. Death was when he came out with JR.
I could just say Michael Hayes, he is going... So for the South, he's got mentioned.
Is it black?
Moonwalk. Dr. Death! Yeah. But,
I used to wrestle this.
So what was the punishment that John Laurinaitis did to him? Because didn't
he gave him a match with Lord Tensai.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And then D. Bryan.
Yeah.
My boy D. Bryan came out, man, that superhero.
Okay.
We gotta do Booker when you mention Daniel Bryan.
Yeah.
Oh, yes! Yes! Yes!
For fuck's sake.
Yes!
Alright, dude, you're deafening our viewers.
They're deaf anyway. You gotta listen to me for like 10 episodes. They're deaf.
Fair play. And obviously, so you got CM Punk who goes into that match. John Laurinaitis comes out and announces it's going to be a handicap match with Daniel Bryan throwing. Lord Tensai picks up the win. Great way for Lord Tensai to get the win over Punk.
And remains strong.
Both of them remain strong. Daniel Bryan looks like a dick, as per usual.
Which is the idea.
Of course. I don't like Daniel Bryan, but I respect his in-ring ability. I just think he's boring.
I think they've added a lot to his personality. If you look back, say 4 years ago when he was in the independent scene in America, looking at Ring of Honor and looking at stuff like that before he got signed, he was very, very just I'm the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah, well, I'll be...
and he has brought personality now.
Hopefully we'll have time later on the show to for me to discuss my opinion of Daniel Bryan in full. But going back to this week's Raw, John Laurinaitis continued his bullshit. In fact, no. We've got to stick on Raw because I've completely blanked something there. John Laurinaitis is in the back after being assaulted by CM Punk, and he bumps into Big Show because...
Don't you watch where your boss is going?
Yeah, exactly. He's like, do you watch where you're walking? Where your boss is walking? Get out of my way! Which is like, dude, he's 7 foot, 450 pounds. How could you not fucking see him?
Sorry, Mr. Laurinaitis. People power!
Yeah, Big Show makes fun of John Laurinaitis versus Eve. Basically, Eve Torres.
The lovely, gorgeous, curvaceous skank Eve.
Yeah, basically the Lisa Ann wannabe.
Let's not go there. I can't talk about that on the internet.
Yeah, but
if you want to say, but if you want to find out who we're talking about, do search Lisa Ann. Only if you're over the legal age in your country.
Yeah, basically, otherwise we can't talk about that too much. Otherwise, we'll have a third member of the show.
Hey.
So basically, Eve. After a match with Big Show, Eve comes out and Eve didn't have the match with Big Show. I'll just quickly say
it was
Big Show had a match and Eve comes in.
No, that was this week.
No, Eve comes out and demands that Big Show apologizes, and Big Show does. He says, "No,
Cody."
Eve constantly makes her apologize, and Big Show does. And to be fair, he doesn't come across looking weak. He just everyone's on his side. Everyone understands that Eve pisses off, pretending that she's worth something in the world.
Skunk.
And then we go, as Dan said, to SmackDown.
Where Big Show's having the match with my boy D. Bryan. D. Bryan willingly and noticeably looks over to the corner where the bell is, puts him in the yes lock, and then the bell rings. It's like, we could have seen that finish going off any close. I mean, D. Bryan is a phenomenal, but you can tell he's been told to do certain at a certain time, and especially when Johnny Ace isn't a small guy.
Yeah,
you're gonna see him walking towards the ring. So he rings a bell, screws him out with it basically, and then orders him to apologize on Monday Night Raw, my show, or you're fired.
Yeah,
because there's not much work out there for a 7 foot tall, 500 pound, 40-year-old freak.
Yeah, you can't tell me that Big Show would not make it in Japan.
Oh, he'd be a god in Japan.
Yeah.
But can you imagine the life situation for Big Show in Japan?
Well, yeah, true.
Giant Bernard, Lord Tensai, had a horrible time in Japan living there.
Yeah.
Loved the work and loved the boys and loved the style.
Yeah.
And loved the food and the culture. It was the bed, it was lying in bed, getting a wash.
Yeah.
For a man his size, it was hard. Andre was well known to loved working in Japan.
Yeah.
Possibly that was where his biggest name was.
Yeah.
His problem being that when he came to Japan, he couldn't fit in the bathroom.
But to
the point where there's a great story, I'm going off a little tangent here, but it doesn't last long. There's a great story where Andre ran down to Hulk Hogan's locker room.
Yeah.
Banged on Hogan's hotel room,
Yeah.
And Hogan went, what? And Andre, like a little kid, was really happy and said, come with me, boss. Come with me. He called everyone boss.
Yeah.
Come with me, boss. Come with me. Come see what I've done. And when he went into the room, Hogan was expecting the usual 4 little Japanese women that usually sacrifice Andre, whatever means Andre wanted. Because, you know, it's
Japan.
Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
It's Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
If he says, come with me, you wink. And there wasn't any young Japanese women there. There was just a giant dinosaur shit on the bed. Because he couldn't fit in the bed, he had a shit in the middle. Couldn't fit in the toilet, he had this massive shit in the bed and used the sheets to pile it up and ask for the hotel staff to come clean it up. So Big Show would have that similar situation. He wouldn't be able to fit anywhere.
In fairness, he's French. So anyway.
In fairness, he's a giant.
Yeah, if he wants to shit in your bed, he's going to. Well, not now, but... Anyway. I know.
But
anyway, so on Raw, Big Show does apologise. And then John Laurinaitis goes, no, I want you to get down on your knees to do it.
Beg me.
And Big Show says, look, I'll beg, but please don't make me do that. Long story short, even after Big Show gets down on his knees and begs...
And is weeping as well.
And weeping.
The man is good.
Yeah, the man sells.
We all knew I knew what was going to happen from the moment it was announced.
Yeah.
But I felt sorry for him.
I will say I did not think he was going to be fired. I thought John Laurinaitis was going to continue.
Maybe use him in his pocket.
Yeah, and then say you're going to do this, otherwise you're fired.
Yeah,
like the whole John Cena. If he didn't do it, the Nexus told him, well, you can always quit, kind of deal. So no, John Laurinaitis fired.
So Cena doesn't quit.
Yeah, but John Cena, Cena quits a lot, but John Laurinaitis wished Big Show the best in all your future endeavours, because Big Show, big smile,
yeah,
you're fired.
Oh, I will also say the one thing. It was nice to see David Otunga back after his family's problems.
Yeah, and also, and just for the hashtag TotalMarkOut crew, because they'll never hear us anyway.
Yeah.
But congratulations on getting that verdict, and we hope you guys can now move on and find some peace. But yeah, so that was the Big Show storyline. Of course, the problem is we've now got to talk about the whole Cena match, and this is very important. I'm just going to jump straight to May 14th, because we could talk about...
Cena was live by satellite.
Yes, but he was selling an injury.
Still live by satellite.
Which, by the way, actually, in fairness, this is what I'm going to say about the satellite giver, right? I will not defend that anymore, because the next fucking week he comes out fucking dancing, you know what I mean? He's like, it's a little bit thingy, but we're alright. It's like, dude, fuck you. Jesus Christ.
Melissa!
It's like, if he'd come out, like, being a bit ginger with it, like, take Sheamus. Like, not long ago he came out, when he was doing the whole pound the chest and raise the arms, he didn't bring the one arm up because it was taped up.
Because of the deep right.
Yeah, because...
the yes lock.
Yeah, the yes lock. So he had it taped up.
The yes!
Yeah.
Lock.
He had it taped, so he didn't use it. He did use it in the match, but at the same time, it made sense at that point.
Yep.
John Cena should have done a better job selling the arms. So when I was defending people when we watched that show...
very...
inconsistent.
Yeah, he sells an injury all the time.
But
then there'll be a moment where you'll go, I'm not going to stand it, I need to do this.
Yeah. So, basically...
So obviously Cena was on Violet Satellite, sold the fucking promo, whatever.
Yeah.
And then this week, we had John Laurinaitis' huge announcement.
Yes.
Which was probably going to be Lord Tensai coming to be part of the match or some bullshit.
And what actually happened was there was a letter from the board, right? Which
was developed, it was sent by that skunk!
Yeah.
Eve.
And John Cena read it, after ripping it in half because John Laurinaitis didn't know how to let go of a piece of paper. That shows you how good an actor he is, guys.
Can't wait to see this fucking match.
Yeah. So, Dan, why don't you do the honours of telling us what the new stipulation for John Laurinaitis versus John Cena is at Over the Limit?
Well, there will be no outside interference.
Well, that's not what they said, though. Let's be honest. That's not how they phrased it, because they said that if John Laurinaitis loses, he's fired.
No. They had all the other details.
Yeah, I know that's but they say if John Laurinaitis loses, he's fired.
Mm-hmm.
But what they said it was going to be what kind of match? They said it was going to be 1-on-1, which is good. But what was the special stipulation in regards to interference?
No WWE superstar. Superstar! There you go, Chimmel. Want some royalties for that.
So, no
Will
WWE
is allowed to be at ringside or to interfere, and if any do interfere in the match, they will be terminated. By Arnie!
Wait a minute.
The Terminator will come out and shoot you up.
But wasn't Big Show just fired?
Yeah.
And would he be desperate to get his job back?
Yep.
Oh.
Can't you see where this one's going?
Now, you know what would have been funny? Here's my thing,
the way
right?
you coined that.
You know what I would have liked? If Big Show had comes out at Over the Limit, right? And everyone's going, boo! And then he chokes out his John Laurinaitis. And everyone goes, yay! And then on the next day on Raw, everyone's going, what's going on? And Triple H goes, oh, I'm hiring Big Show back today. Because then it's like, fuck you all who say we're, mind you.
Who says we're predictable?
Mind you, that would mean I technically pseudo-called it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I've called both scenarios now. So basically, all I'm calling is that Big Show will be there. If Big Show isn't there, I'll give props to...
Also, we'll call the pay-per-view in a bit when we go through the card.
Would have been a great idea if I brought the card up.
We've got time.
We have. And I have the magic pause button.
We'll pause and we'll edit this bullshit out.
We just won't tell them that we'll do that.
What is bullshit this?
Yeah, they don't know.
They'll never know.
They probably think this is live.
It's not.
It's not? I mean...
And... SmackDown!
Yes, Dan, why did you take this one?
Well, we had... Obviously, we mentioned the Big Show apologise.
Yes.
And then we moved on to AJ going freaking nuts.
Oh, yeah.
In a sexy way. She is, though. Is it not, the way she looked at Brian that whole time she was talking, the first two names that came to my head, Harley Quinn.
You got Mr. J.
All she's missing is the Colin Pudding. Not Viduka, Erik. Pudding. Different guy completely, Djismie. Right?
Pudding? Are you going to be world champion, Pudding?
Yeah, exactly. It's all she's missing. And then Brian says that he's going to be the WWE champion.
Would you like a BJ from your AJ?
Okay. That's interesting mind you've got working then. I'm a dirty one.
I'm suggesting AJ gives someone a blowjob. I'm straight. What do you expect?
Fair enough.
So he is vegan, so...
She's not. She eats meat.
Oh, surely he would... Never mind. We'll go down.
Let's
just talk about Caitlyn.
Well, that's the point. Daniel Bryan then says he's going to move on. 1 minute, viewers. Jazz.
Why was
says he's going to move on to become the WWE champion, and then when he moves on afterwards, he's going to move on to Caitlyn. Now, I have a major problem with this.
I have 2 major problems with this.
I have 3 major problems, so I'll get them out.
Yeah.
1.
Oh, please don't.
1. Caitlyn is currently on a storyline relationship with Derek Bateman.
Yes.
2. Caitlyn wouldn't go with you, you're vegan. And boring.
And 3?
And 3. Caitlyn's already been called dibs by the boss.
But in fairness, that's only if my fiancé breaks up with me.
Yeah, then I think Erik called dibs.
Yeah, but he's not here.
Sweet, I called dibs!
There you go.
So there you go.
But, by the way, here's my problems with it.
Go ahead.
Number 1, right? Caitlyn would snap Brian in half, Jazz. Right. Caitlyn would snap Brian in half.
Sorry, I'm just going to envision that for a moment. Right.
Okay. Secondly, again, unless the Derek Bateman and Caitlyn storyline turns out into a program between Daniel Bryan, Derek, and by the way, if that happens,
well done, Bateman.
Yeah.
Well done.
It's like, I'm going to wrestle Daniel Bryan. Yeah, but it's about time. Can you handle that? Oh, yeah, sure. One SmackDown. No, Money in the Bank.
I will pay-per-view match.
Oh no, that's what he was. Yes! Caitlyn's going, we haven't started yet. Say, I'm going to be on pay-per-view. Oh, yes. Let's do our yes celebration. Daniel Bryan's going, who do I get to say yes with?
Bella. I believe it's Nikki, or is it Brie?
They probably swap.
I don't think they do.
You don't know, though.
That's
the thing, you're dating twins. Yeah. You don't know.
Neither would Dave Bryan, so it is.
See, that would be an awesome defense. It's like, oh, you never you always finish before me. Bitch, you probably swap halfway through. How do I know that used to are just fucking easy?
How about that point when I shut my eyes, I get twin magic?
Yeah. Anyway, We've got to talk about the new gold.
Ryback!
Yeah, basically, the guy who...
Freaking awesome!
The only way this guy can get more awesome is if he has Scott Seider's mic skills.
Oh!
Just like...
He's amazing! He comes out, they've finally given him a decent entrance, even though he didn't see the pyro this week because they were focused on his fucking head.
Yeah.
He's like, he goes like this, boom! And you're going, I think we're supposed to see something there.
Yeah.
And he comes out, the week beforehand, he takes over Damien Sandow, who is one of the best things about SmackDown as well, with his brilliant vocabulary and pro skills, who said, I'm not going to compete against a low person like Derek Bateman, who then gets his head smashed in on that SmackDown match that he wanted to cash in 6 months earlier.
Yeah.
Against Ryback. And then this week, he faces his old friend from NXT. Oh, wait a minute, are we not allowed to mention that?
We're allowed to, because we're not part of WWE.
Okay, we'll mention it. Skip Sheffield and the one-man Southern rock band, Heath Slater. And at which point, Heath just cuts a fucking promo on him.
Good idea, Heath. Good idea.
He's dumb, man.
Insult the guy with arms bigger than your fucking neck.
He comes out and he kills him again. I am just waiting for this man to come up against someone where you go, he can't kill him. And then kill him.
Oh, you're like Brock Lesnar.
Yes! Have Ryback kill Brock Lesnar. I'd buy it.
Now, I've got a note. I've got a note here about SmackDown, which simply says tag team. Then in brackets, ask Dan.
Oh, my favourite tag team. My new favourite tag team is Mr. No Days Off for your suspension. De Young.
Yes.
And the big deal, Titus O'Neil, because what separates them from everyone else?
Yeah.
Millions of dollars, millions of dollars, millions of dollars. They're fucking hilarious. And they're great in the ring as well. And you know what? It makes that fucking Titus O'Neil isn't having a barking every 5 seconds. It makes him interesting without going, hoo, hoo, hoo. It's like a poor man's JYD.
Well, after that, right, we were going to do a recap of WWE NXT, but right now there seems to be very little purpose to it.
Yeah, they've got to restart.
Yeah.
They've got to fucking restart.
We will talk more about that in our next segment, at the end of our next segment, because now we've done the WWE recap, we're going to move on to wrestling news! Before we do any wrestling news, I'm going to throw over Dan for... this is basically the first thing we want to address, just out of respect. So, Dan, take this one.
As of today, the 18th of February, 18th of May.
We'll record the show on a Friday, so today is the 18th of May. You guys are listening to this on Saturday the 19th.
So obviously, as of today, the 18th of May, 2012, it has been 10 years since the passing of the legendary British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith.
A phenomenal wrestler.
Truly inspiration to any Englishman or even Britishman who is looking to get into the wrestling business.
Absolutely. He was
a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah, he's a great talent.
And of course, whenever you mention Davey Boy, you have to mention Wembley.
Yes, of course.
You have to mention the Intercontinental title match with Bret Hart.
Of course.
Which was one of the most spectacular, one of the greatest matches ever of
one of the biggest pops in the business.
You don't hear a pop like that.
No.
What was it, 80,000 people, 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium?
Easily. And
every single one of them wanted one win. That was Davey Boy. And we got it. Yep.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, in fairness, it was, we appreciate. So
we just thought we'd like to give it out there. It's 10-year anniversary. It's a big thing.
As much as we love to bitch on the show, we like to recognise and respect those who deserve it. So let's try to change the mood a little bit, and we're going to talk about we had a lot of things we wanted to talk about the news, but as of yesterday,
it just got wiped out, man.
Basically, on Thursday, May 17th, 2012. We had 2 press conferences from WWE and TNA. Yes, for 1 episode only, we are lifting our ban on TNA because we have to talk about this. First, let's talk about WWE. Dan, I'll give you the honours here.
From the 1000th episode of WWE Monday Night Raw, which is a huge accomplishment in itself.
Yep.
WWE will be going permanently to 3 hours. Now, the major problem with this is that it's 3 hours. However, I will now pass it back to you, boss.
Right.
Before you have the official press release.
This is the official press release posted by WWE. New York. At a USA Network season premiere event in New York City, John Cena revealed on Twitter that Monday Night Raw will expand to a 3-hour show, starting with the 1000th episode on July 23rd at 8/7 Central on USA Network. WWE is proud to celebrate this historic milestone with our partners at USA Network, WWE Chairman and CEO Vince McMahon said. Our new 3-hour Raw represents the next generation in interactive television, where our fans won't just watch the show, they will help create it. Starting with this historic 1000th episode of Raw on July 23rd, the WWE Universe will have new ways to get involved in the show through WWE.com and social media by deciding matches, stipulations, superstar development, and more.
Stop. That I'm happy with.
Anyway,
continue.
The WWE Universe is one of the most socially active and passionate fan bases in all of television, Chris McCumber and Jeff Watchill, co-presidents of the USA Network, said. The powerful 3-hour block of live TV truly makes USA the year-round destination for young male viewers on Monday nights. Stay with WWE.com for more of this breaking news surrounding Monday Night Raw. What do you think about Raw expanding to a 3-hour show? Sound off now on Twitter using hashtag 3HourRaw.
Oh, and we did.
We did.
We did.
We had shit to say about
Now,
this.
my major problem with this is it makes the pay-per-views nothing. A 3-hour pay-per-view is therefore no longer a special event.
Exactly.
I'm paying for something I can watch on Raw.
Uh-huh.
You then have to develop more things and you have to do it. More importantly, people are going, oh, but they'll get to see stars. They can't use the stars they have now on 2 hours.
Yeah.
3 hours of Raw is, I don't mind if it's going to be just an interactive show at the beginning of it and then afterwards we get Raw.
Yeah.
That's fine. But the way they announced it, the way they went off on one, it is saying that it's not. It is simply a 3-hour event of Monday Night Raw. Similar to the Slammies or the Draft.
Yes.
Which, once again, what happens when they come on? That's not going to be anything special.
And the problem with things like the Slammies is they have the potential to make that really cool, but they water it down by making it... First of all, if you're going to bring people on, right, to host these awards, first of all, make the awards worthwhile, make the people who are going to present them mic-worthy, and make all awards chosen by the fans. All of them. Every single one of them. Even when you get to the whole Superstar of the Year, that definitely has to be, which it normally is.
Apart from a couple of years in a row. Where it was match decided.
Yeah, so. WWE. Now, here are the rumours. Now, WWE, the first hour is going to be a pre-show, which is mainly about, fan interaction and all that.
You might get a couple of matches on it.
Now, my problem is you already got to read it on. I personally think that negating New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago. State about the
Toronto.
Okay, I suppose even Toronto. Right? All the other cities, because there are a lot more fucking cities in the USA and all the rest. They tend to be.
I'm trying to think of lively ones recently, and the liveliest one was Miami. And that was the return of that was the Rock.
That was the
after
Rock.
WrestleMania.
Yes.
So you didn't have Miami.
Yeah.
You had the WrestleMania crowd who had gone to WrestleMania.
And also you have Brock Lesnar at the same night.
Brock Lesnar. And then after that, they went to Chicago.
Yeah.
Philadelphia recently.
Yeah.
Well, once again, it's certain. There were places in America that don't react unless they are unless it's that, as Mick Foley says, that Pavlovian response of "Ooh, I know that music."
Yeah, and so they're already not getting a great reaction. Are you giving them an extra hour that they have to stick around?
However,
for?
if it's interactive,
well, that's what I'm saying.
It might be a case.
I'm talking about the potential risk.
Yeah.
If they don't do it right, and let's face it, do we have a track record of being disappointments?
I just see Nitro.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I see a 3-hour Nitro.
This was, and I love the way you phrased this on Twitter. This is a tried and tested and failed method. This was trialed. And
didn't WCW try this for fuck's sake, Vince? That was the last lineup.
Exactly. It didn't work for Nitro. It's not going to work for WWE unless this one I think is done right. If this is completely, it
will work in certain places, like we've mentioned already.
Yeah. And
I would like to think that one of the places that won't get burnt out, because you're there for 3 hours of Raw.
Yeah.
Before that, they're still going to shoot superstars. They're going to have at least 2 matches of superstars.
Well, they have.
And you have a dark match.
Well, they have talked about moving certain recordings to Tuesday. I think NXT is going to be recorded purely on
Thursdays.
Thursdays,
which we'll get into.
Yeah.
But superstars could potentially move to a Tuesday.
Or
they could just do superstars after
they could.
Before SmackDown.
They could bring that to a close.
Well, no, they've got a new contract coming out for it.
Well, we'll see what happens with it. I have to admit, superstars.
If you're going to have superstars beforehand,
yeah.
I know you're a major prop. You're saying they're going to be tired now. That's a 4-hour event you're going to be going to. But what I'd like to think is that certain cities in America, for instance, one we missed out was LA.
Yeah.
LA is always a hot crowd. Always a hot crowd because you don't just get LA people, you get people from surrounding cities in California. Yeah. Philadelphia, Chicago, New York, Toronto in Canada. Well, any place in Canada, basically.
Yeah.
Anywhere in Canada is usually a decent reaction.
There was...
Certain places in the South get a decent one. Oklahoma. Yeah. It's usually a general decent one. And I like to think over here, when they do the shows over here, you get a decent reaction for it. And we've been I went to one in November.
Yeah.
I went to both tapings. And on the SmackDown was half full.
Yeah.
To a point where they barricaded the back off and blackened it off so you couldn't see.
Yeah.
And then we got moved to better seats because we were the only ones in that block.
Yeah.
SmackDown doesn't sell as it is over here.
Yeah.
But Raw is almost a guaranteed sellout every time.
Well, that's because they don't put enough focus on SmackDown.
But I'd like to think that over here, Raw, 3 hours plus whatever we get beforehand, would not be a problem.
With the UK, the people who are there will make some noise.
Oh, yeah.
But we demand...
But if you remember...
Yeah, but
what I'm trying to say, though,
we demand...
not just so much that we get a decent reaction and sell out, or the 3-hour event. We stand in line to queue up for, 2 hours, because we're English and we'll wait in a queue.
So we will queue to be an Olympic event.
Yeah, we'll wait in the queue. And then, we'll get a queue, 2 hours, you go in, and you're waiting maybe a half an hour or 45 minutes before they start doing the dart match. Which for me was amazing. It was like Justin Gabriel and 20 Locks versus the Usos. So I was like, I'm in. I'm the only person in this arena who knows who these people are.
Yeah.
So you had that. So I don't see a problem for anywhere in the certain cities, die-hard cities.
Yeah, but
But like you say, there's also places like Phoenix.
This is going to be
not to point pick on Phoenix. Phoenix.
Phoenix, Arizona is one of those. I mean, a lot of the. I look at some of the people from Phoenix, Arizona, and I felt one guy who's from Arizona. I believe he's from Arizona. Is an online critic called Spoony One, Noah Antweiler. And he's miserable all the time. I love him. I love watching his videos, but it just seems like a lot of people from Arizona tend to be quite, it's fucking hot here, piss the fuck off.
It's a dry heat as well.
Yeah, it's a dry heat, Out in England, we know all about the different kinds of heat.
But it's like Arizona,
I think there's
Oregon.
Oh.
There's certain places in America you just won't get a reaction.
This is going to be one of those.
That's a 2-hour event. I personally, for my last bit on this, because otherwise, we're going to go over time now.
Yeah.
For my last bit on this is, I see Vince giving this 2 months. If it's failing, he'll pull the plug. If it's working to a point where Vince is getting decent numbers for the first hour in ratings, he'll continue for a 6-month trial.
Yeah.
Because after 6 months, it'll be the same thing as the guest hosts.
Yeah.
Everybody's bored of it. Move on.
Yeah. Okay. And again, this is going to be one of those we have to wait and see because, and you know me, if it turns out to be a big success, and God forbid I enjoy it, then I'll even turn around and say, well, I was wrong.
I think I'll enjoy it anyway. I'm going to watch it in November.
Yeah. If I can admit that I was wrong and Jesse was right in this show, I can pretty much admit anything at this point.
I'm going to watch it in November. I have my tickets already. I can't wait for a 3-hour Raw when I'm there.
Well, let's move on to for the sake of logic, we'll hold back the TNA just for a quick second. Let's talk about NXT.
We just don't want to talk. We just want to keep putting it away.
No, because obviously it's still a WWE event. So NXT's got through major changes. Now, you might remember I mentioned in the WWE recap that we weren't going to recap the NXT shows. The reason being that
I will mention the one that's just been on, though.
Yeah. The reason being is that NXT is changed to a new format, and they've already recorded 4 episodes. And
was it 4 episodes of NXT? Because I heard the rumor that FCW is doing TV there as well.
Oh no, there was some FCW taping, but it was in the report I read, it was 4 episodes, and they had a rundown of what happened on the episodes. I'm not going to give away any spoilers on here.
We are a spoiler-free show.
Yeah, I don't believe in spoiling shows. I will be watching the NXT. Like, and from now on, NXT will be one of the regular.
I'm a diehard. I've watched NXT from the beginning, so I can't wait.
For me, it's harder because of my schedule and all that shit. But I'm going to make it. See, I need to make more of it. I have to watch SmackDown as well, just because I'm probably going to have to watch that on YouTube.
Yeah.
So but there's changes that they've made on NXT. I'm going to tell you now.
Well, they've moved to a new arena at Fall Sale or something, the University Arena.
Well, all this is, on the first episode of NXT, the new NXT, Triple H comes out.
Yeah, Triple H lowers himself to NXT.
Yeah, he does two things. First of all, he talks about the switch, change of venue. The second thing he does...
They haven't called it the NXT Arena, ever.
No. The second thing he does, and this is why you need to watch, he announces the new general manager of NXT. You have to watch that episode. I'm telling you now, you have to watch the episode.
Well, let's just talk about this for a bit. Obviously, we're not going to spoil anything, and I haven't seen it myself.
Dan doesn't know who it is, because I won't tell him who it is.
So what... I don't want to know either. I'll wait until next week.
Well,
I'll stay at WWE.com.
Okay, well, let me ask you.
But for this, let's just talk about some of the changes. Some of they've moved to a new arena, which is their permanent home base, I believe now. It's a university campus.
Yes.
It's especially designed for not just professional wrestling, but for the university students that do media.
Yes.
They do rock events and stuff like that as well.
Yes.
I also believe that the commentary team is good old JR back on the stick.
Yes, it's JR.
William Regal, is he?
JR William Regal.
So that to me is great.
Yeah.
Because you have two people who are passionate about the business and know what they're talking about. I feel a little bit sad they've pulled Josh again because he needs some reward for putting up with Michael Cole.
Yeah. Mind you, I was complaining about his commentating skills in the last few episodes of NXT. Yeah.
But that was probably him knowing he was going to do. So they've moved to an arena that's purposely for it. And for the sounds of what I've heard from before the tapings, is that with the FCW crowd there, that he's going to be brought into the that they're going to bring a lot of new stars up.
They have brought in a lot of new talent,
and they're going to bring, which is only good for the business and can only be good for the WWE.
Yeah.
Now, I would like to. I don't know if you've got anything else to add to that. That's non-spoiler.
Nothing non-spoiler at this point.
Right. Well, I would like to talk about the last episode of
yes, go right ahead.
This recent season.
Go right ahead.
This recent season of NXT was kind of weird. It's been going on for over a year and a half, and it was only supposed to lead into the next season.
Yes.
So we have they kind of just pressed the reset button on this new last episode.
Yes.
They just turned around and said, "Yeah, storylines, fuck it, we're just going to go into matches." So the matches were Johnny Curtis, Dirty Curty, a man that we all love on TotalMarkOut.
Dirty Curty, let's get
he's funny. He's very good personality to him.
Yeah.
Versus Showtime Percy Watson.
Yeah.
The man who got a huge poppy for tagging along with another dude's entrance to the house show with Booker T and the New Harlem Heat, which we kind of said only last a week. You know, if that. Then to a very entertaining match that they very well put it. Dirty Curty pulls out the win.
Yeah.
Very decent, very good match. We move on to the next match, which is I believe was the Divas match, which was Caitlyn and Maxine.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a very good Divas match. Them two girls both can work, and it's nice to see Divas work other than Beth Phoenix.
Yes.
And Natalia.
Yeah, of course.
It's nice to see female wrestlers. I mean, and Caitlyn's came a long way since when she started. And Caitlyn picked up the win with that the legs version of the full Nelson.
All right.
Which is very interesting. I think William Regal even said he had to find out what that was called because he didn't know the name of it. So that's kind of telling you. Yeah, exactly. The next match was how William Regal coined it was the carnival. It reminds him when he's back on the carny, his carnivores, because it was the tag team of the Great Carly and Big Zeke Ezekiel Jackson versus Hawkins and Rex, the second card, the mid-card Mafia.
Yeah.
I like to call them both. Two of my favourites there straight away, Hawkins and Rex. I think they're hilarious and great workers. They jobbed out to Carly and Zeke. As per usual, I don't think I've seen Hawkins pick up a win in about 2 months.
Yeah.
Rex got the win, but that was because they could sack them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then we moved on to the main event, and all I'm going to tell you is that if you watch one match on professional wrestling this week, and it's not in the words of Ring of Honor, because I know Ring of Honor pay-per-view, which has a lot of entertaining matches on it, you have to watch. So I'll just say, if you watch one WWE match this week, NXT, you have a triple threat main event with Sweet Meat Derek Bateman, his nickname, not mine.
Yeah.
The last graduate of the Hart family dungeon Tyson Kidd,
yeah.
and the son of perfection, Michael McGillicuddy. They have a phenomenal match. And I'm not going to spoil the ending for you because it's a great match, a great finish. All I'm going to say is you've got to watch that and you've got to watch it because this week on NXT, it was not about storylines. It has been so many episodes, which has made it so very good. It has been purely about professional wrestling, and it was nice to see in a WWE event.
Absolutely. And now onto the TNA news.
Which is the only time we'll mention it again.
Yeah, we've got 2 bits of TNA news for you. Yeah. First of all, TNA is now going live. This is the official press release from TNA. TNA's Impact Wrestling celebrates summer 2012 by going live. Spike TV takes highly rated show live and to 8 p.m. ET, beginning Thursday, May 31st. Nashville, Tennessee, May 17, 2012, TNA Impact Wrestling President Dixie Carter and Spike TV President Kevin Kay announced today that the highly rated Impact Wrestling will be going live from Universal Studios beginning May 31st and continue through the summer. This announcement coincides with the recently announced new 1 hour earlier time slot change of 8 to 10 p.m. ET every Thursday beginning May 31st. We are excited to take Impact Wrestling live all summer long and have our first live summer show launch on our new 8 p.m. ET time slot, says TNA President Dixie Carter. Summer 2012 is going to be remembered as the most momentous time in our company's history to date. Stay tuned. This excited me quite a lot because I want TNA to survive. I just want Dixie Carter, Eric Bischoff, Hulk Hogan to piss the fuck off. We already got rid of Vince Russo. If we get rid of Dixie Carter, Hulk, and Bischoff, I might consider watching TNA more.
Apology.
Oh, yeah, still apology. If they apologize to Lord Cat, and if you don't know who Lord Cat is, if you watch previous episodes, you'll know that basically TNA accused Lord Cat of live.lordcat.com, or lordcat.com, he has to do that, of streaming one of their pay-per-views when he didn't. And they've still yet to lift what is referred to as a desist order off them, which is basically if your website gets like 3 of these desist orders, like it's completely taken down forever and you can't bring it back. They claimed that he was. It's basically like the anti-copyright law. Yeah, it's Presley. They still haven't apologized or had that removed, so we, as a show, refused to support them. However, we always said that if they apologized and lifted the ban, we would happily start commenting TNA again. I do catch TNA every time out of personal interest because we do need competition. Yeah. But apart from that, yeah. But this we have to mention because it is big in wrestling. TNA going live. There's going to be 2 possible reactions from this. 1, it's going to fail. 2, it's going to thrive. That's it. Those are your options. Now,
1, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
2, it's going to fail.
Right. This is the 2 sides of the argument. For me, I look at companies like WWE who've been forced to go live. Like Raw had to go live, Nitro had to go live. Going live can work really well. It can propel a company. It can also force a company to have to get rid of its weak links. You look at the writers who can do live, the bookers that can do live, the directors and producers, the wrestlers, the announcers, the interviewers, all people. If you can't do live, that's why I always think that Raw is a superior brand to SmackDown. SmackDown can have all the talent in the world.
It's just boring.
Yeah, because
there's no excitement there.
Yeah, I think when you go live, it forces you the pressure. Now, here's the thing: if TNA fail, in my opinion, they deserve to fail. If SmackDown doesn't work as a concept, it deserves to not work. You have to be able to work live because you're in front of arenas, in front of fans and all the jazz. Well, you're trying to put storylines in front of a live crowd, but you're trying to do that every week. But then you do re-recording segments in front of a live crowd.
Here's my problem.
Yeah, of course, go for it.
TNA going live. They've done this before.
Yeah,
failed miserably.
Yes, but didn't they do that against Raw on Monday night? So that's a different situation.
Yeah, but if you're going to go live, you mentioned Nitro had to go live.
Yes.
Because they were competing against Vince McMahon.
Yes.
Here, the only thing they're competing against is a UK audience that won't get it live.
Yes.
Because it's on Challenge, and Challenge don't put a live fucking pay-per-view on. On live TV.
Of course.
And you're going to get is a UK audience that we're watching NXT, and the internet audience that we're watching Superstars. You are not competing against anyone. So you can go, it doesn't make a difference whether you go live or whether you're taped. Unless you are in direct competition against someone, for TNA, it's not going to work. TNA went live, and they even did 3 hours live so they could compete against the WWE, and that last hour lost more people than the first hour.
But there is a certain aspect. You're talking about competing in terms of...
Well, why do you think they've gone live?
Well, of course they're competing.
Exactly.
Well,
my major problem with TNA is not that it's recorded.
Well, I know.
My major problem is that it's done in the same building, week in, week out.
Okay.
You're going to get a core... That's the only problem with NXT, but NXT is going to have a younger audience.
Personally, I think TNA has 3 problems. They've got the wrong management, they've got the wrong idea about venues, and they're recorded. For me,
I don't know, they're still stuck in the old school venues.
Well, because here's the thing. First of all, let's look at the management. Imagine you got Hulk Hogan and Bischoff, who are in the era of Dixie Carter. They're not necessarily calling the shots, they're manipulating it. Dixie Carter...
Whoa. Bischoff isn't manipulating anything. Hulk Hogan is manipulating everything.
Well, of course.
Think about it. How did Bischoff get to power?
Well, okay. No,
he walked in and they wanted a guy who was not in WCW, someone who wasn't a wrestling guy.
Yes.
But they picked the wrong guy.
Yes.
Bischoff was a wrestling guy.
Yeah.
Bischoff was working his way in the AWA with Vern Gagne.
Yeah.
And then he was on TV.
Yes.
They picked him because he wasn't a quote-unquote old-school wrestler.
Yeah.
They decided to do that. What was his first major move? To sign Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
What was his second major move? To compete against Vince McMahon live on TNT.
Okay. But,
so,
again...
Hulk Hogan was the one who was in his ear. Then Kev.
Yeah,
then
but you've got to look at it like this. Basically, you've got Hulk...
Either way, the management is getting manipulated.
Hulk Hogan, see, Eric Bischoff is a little older than the wiser. There are certain things that Bischoff disagrees with Hogan about. But it's kind of like 2 parents with a child that squabbles. Yeah, when the child, when one of them makes a ruling, they both back each other up. It just depends on who makes the ruling first. Hogan's got a bigger mouth, but Bischoff has...
But we're going to mention this anyway.
Yeah.
The management issue of Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
How else do you think Brooke got a job?
Well, that was actually going to be in the next events. Now to Brooke Hogan, by order of Dixie Carter, is now the executive of the Knockouts division. Now, we're not talking storyline. We're not talking storyline. This isn't kayfabe. She is legitimately in charge of developing, creating, finding knockout talent.
Now, knockout talent.
Yeah. Can I just say...
She is in charge of the knockouts.
In other news...
Can I just run through the knockouts she's in charge of?
I'd just like to point out one thing. In other news, George Bush is writing the new dictionary.
I would like to point out a couple of knockouts she's going to be in charge of now.
Yes.
Gail Kim.
Oh, dear.
Mickey James.
Oh, fuck.
Angelina Love, who can wrestle.
That's the
Winter, who once again
who can wrestle. Yes. Oh, Tara. Oh, God, no.
Even Brooke Tessmacher came a long way since dancing in ECW.
I'm just glad Roxy isn't still in.
Me? She's going to be in charge of ODB.
Oh, no.
Do you know what? ODB can wrestle and brawl and fight those blokes, right?
She can.
2 words for you.
Uh-huh.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
ODB will not say anything towards fucking Brooke Hogan.
I've got a quote from one of our fans of the show, Kai Shepherd from Norwich. He says, "Yay, now inbred insults can be put in a scrabble, blah, blah, blah." Right, others. Brooke fucking Hogan, are you shitting me a new pair of briefs? What's that lazy-eyed slut done in the industry apart from pop out of Hogan's old lay? Nothing. TNA has hit some lows, but taking fucking managerial decisions from someone who's about as a reformed gym teacher and as sporadic as a bad case of thrush. I oppose to this cretin being within 100 meters of the industry. Dixie Carter can take her fragile frame and throw herself under a WWE cargo truck for all I fucking care. Fucking moron. Brooke fucking Hogan. Let's have done with it. And give the fucking announcing job to Nick Griffin and Anne Shagging Robinson. Put in Paris Hilton as the Knockouts champ and start a shag-fucking-shitting hoedown in the six-sided ring that would be brought back because Brooke thinks four sides are just plain stupid. With that out, I really hope that peroxide ignoramus trips and falls on a nail covered with AIDS. She isn't just a moron, but she's a selfish, cold, Bible-bashing tart. I don't understand what she has done to get any sort of position, especially with the Knockouts. Oh, right. Fetch my boomstick. I'm gonna blow her a new hole to leak the pretentious bile out from.
So he was happy about the announcement then?
He's not too pleased.
He seemed over the moon.
Oh, yeah. That guy's easy going normally.
But that is the point. He has a very good point there, along with all the disgusting insults he threw towards a young lady who, quite frankly, he's never met. But nevertheless,
she's allowed her father to rub oil into her arm.
Yeah, nevertheless, right? Nevertheless,
you fucking mind. We need explanations for that.
Oh yeah, we need explanations, but I don't think I really want them.
Oh, I want to know so I can know exactly how to insult her.
But she's done nothing in the business but be Hulk Hogan's daughter.
Yeah, I mean,
fair enough. Vince was close to signing her as a diva.
I will be fair though, right? It is very easy to mock Brooke Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Because she's shit.
Because she's done fuck all.
Yeah.
And with that said, that's the news.
Yeah, that is the news. So let's move on to your favourite segment and mine. You gotta watch!
Real simple. This week's King You Gotta Watch is a special gimmick edition. Matches that may or may not have been gone over the limit, if you will. I know, I crack myself up too.
It's nice to have someone do it.
I know. So the first match I decided to look at was a ladder match. What great ladder matches could I pluck out of obscurity that people may or may not have seen? Well, I decided to pluck one from Raw 2002.
Okay.
One that may have not been seen because The Undertaker was in it.
Oh.
It was for the Undisputed Championship. It was Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy.
Is that the ladder match?
Yes.
Ah, love that match.
This is the beginning of the face turn for The Undertaker. He comes back in the end after destroying Jeff Hardy, who still keeps getting up and getting up. And he taps him on the head, raises his arm, and you start to see a change in the dead man. Which for me was great because I never liked him as a heel during American Badass.
I don't think it really worked as a heel that
That's
year.
why it lasted 6 months at the most. But also, it planted the seed in your head that Jeff Hardy could be a main eventer.
Yes.
You're sitting there thinking, wow, wait a minute, Jeff Hardy went toe-to-toe with the dead man.
Yeah.
He could do something.
He could.
Now the next gimmick I looked at was a cage match.
Alright.
Out of obscurity, what could I pick?
Out of obscurity. How far back are we going?
Now I didn't even do that. I went, fuck it, let's just go for a good cage match. Which even harder to pick one.
It's not going to be Austin and Vince, is it?
No.
Alright.
I went to SmackDown. I went to 2004. I went to the late, great Eddie Guerrero versus JBL.
Yeah, with Kurt Angle interfering.
Exactly. This is a great way to finish the rivalry once and for all. A cage match to me is always the pinnacle of an end.
Yeah.
You have a cage match because you can't do anything else. No one interferes. No one comes out unless they wear a mask and interfere.
Yeah, apart from that.
This also was a excellent way of simultaneously developing the Kurt Angle Eddie Guerrero feud. That lasted maybe upwards of 7 months afterwards. Oh, wow. That they feuded.
Well,
and also, it was a nice way of turning Angle from the guy that was supposedly broke his leg. It continued that, which was a huge angle for WWE SmackDown. It was also a huge angle for Kurt Angle to get him back in shape.
Yes.
And there's nobody better in the world of a reaction than the late great Eddie Guerrero.
Of course.
So with that being said, there's one more I went for. What gimmick could I choose? Where could I go? I went to the Iron Man match.
The Iron Man match?
No, not the Iron Man match. I went to a Iron Man match. I mean, there's been a few now.
Of course.
So I decided that I would go to Judgment Day 2000.
All right.
The Rock versus Triple H. Now, this was great because of the addition of HBK as the special referee. You had the finish that was... Well, quite frankly, the finish was the most important thing to me because it returned The Undertaker. My hero is back. The American Badass debuted. He came down. He kicked ass. He cost The Rock the match. Fuck The Rock. Who is he anyway?
Yeah.
But it was just one of those matches that I poured more gasoline onto this burning fire that was going. It was... You had the likes of Shawn Michaels doing the right thing but still costing the Rock the championship. Yeah. You had The Undertaker coming out just kicking everybody's ass and still costing the Rock the championship. And it led to a great promo the next night where The Rock is sitting there and, you know, they're blowing, it's not fair and all this and you've got everything going on. And then The Undertaker comes over and tries to run everybody over.
Yeah.
And then on SmackDown it leads to an even better rivalry. And an even better quote from The Undertaker.
Yes.
Which I believe is one of your favourite ones as well.
Yes.
That means lots of zeros for lots of years.
Yeah. He goes, so you're probably wondering, what does that mean? Well, what that means is you get a lot of years, a lot of zeros. In other words, you get the pleasure of paying me lots of dollars to kick your stink ass.
It's just... Purely, it was The Undertaker might be back, he might have a new attitude, but it's still the dead man.
Yeah.
So that, my friends, are 3 matches. Eddie Guerrero versus JBL in a cage. Triple H, The Rock in an Iron Man match. The Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy for the Undisputed title in a ladder match. People, you know what to do. And that's simply, you gotta watch.
Absolutely. And those are some fantastic choices there. So now our next segment is #Fan Corner. So our questions, Dan, you have the questions for us?
I do have a question. This one comes from some guy on Twitter.
All right.
Erik Van Djismie asks...
Wait. Is the D silent?
It doesn't say. I assume so.
So hang on. That motherfucker has the gall to not be here, and he still sends a question.
Yeah.
Well, at least he's doing his job.
Yeah. If you could choose one title to bring back, which would it be?
Now, does he mean a title design or a title which has been removed?
It's Erik.
All right. I'll answer both, right? Referring to the concept of a design, I would say the Attitude Era belt. Not because it's Attitude Era. That's got nothing to do with that. I just think it was the best looking belt. In regards to which championship would I bring back, it would be the Hardcore Championship because it makes the most sense out of any of the other titles to bring in. Mm-hmm. It allows lower stars to be champions, to get recognition without forcing it upon people. And let's face it, it's a fun championship to do. I mean, you don't have to have the hardcore element. You've got the 24/7 element, which makes it fun. A lot of the most entertaining hardcore moments we got the hardcore title was the Cash Holly just...
The Houdini of hardcore.
I mean, do you remember the playground thing?
The
inside the
headbangers.
Yeah.
They run around the fucking soft part and the wall.
I mean, that was more hilarious and more entertaining to watch than, say, Maven versus Goldust.
Although that did lead to the backstage bits as well.
But my point is, the hardcore matches are entertaining, especially when done just once a week is great enough. You know, because if you do a gimmick too much, you kill it. Just me isn't aware of this because he's got no brain in his head to compensate the idea that wait a minute, you're telling me that if you overuse a gimmick, people might get bored of it. Yeah, Shakespeare put it best. If music be the food of love, play on, give me excess of it, that's the fight to the appetite should wither and die. Which basically means, give me more of it so I will hate it. That's why we don't like Vincent Mann making gimmick pay-per-views, you motherfucker.
For me, title design to be bring back would probably be the Attitude Era belt was my favourite one.
If you were banned from that one, shall we
say? If I couldn't get that one...
Just for the sake of a varied answer.
Yeah, I'd go with... the early 90s WWE about the one that Brett held and
so
Shawn.
The Eagle Wings.
Yeah, the Eagle Wings.
Okay.
Yeah, I love that one as well.
Which belt do you hate? Would you say?
Which one do I hate? I'm not.
Any belt that you hate, the look of.
I wasn't see, a few belts have grown on me.
Yeah.
The ECW one they brought out, that grew on me over time, and so have the tag team belts now, they've grown on me.
I know.
But I wasn't a great fan of the Iron Sheik's WWE title, the big green leather belt thing, the one that Hogan first won.
Yeah.
I wasn't a great fan of that.
I think my least favourite belt was the newer hardcore one they made. It looked more like a US title to me.
Yeah.
You know.
A title to bring back?
Yeah.
European?
European?
Yeah, I like the European belt. I always like the championship. But I would have made like a rule, something funny where you have some sort of European tier.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe, or maybe the TV title. That could only be defended on TV.
Right, your next
question comes from Anonymous on Tumblr, as are the rest of these.
Here we go.
With the 50 best finishers of the WWE DVD coming out.
Bye.
What is your favourite current finisher and of all time?
Right, my favourite current finisher. See, I am a sucker for a particular type of move. Test had the big boot. The closest we have to it these days is the bro kick.
Oh, yeah.
I love that. I love how because it's out of anywhere.
It's impactful.
I'm not generally a big fan of flashy moves. I tend to like ones which are quick because they're more believable. And the bro kick. I mean, I'm not trying to have a dig, but at WrestleMania, that bro kick was the kick. To reuse a phrase I was wanting to use, it was the kick heard around the world.
Yeah, it was a case of Daniel Bryan turned around and boom! There it was.
Exactly. As for all time, it's got to be the Sweet Chin Music. That's mainly because, again, I am a big fan. I do love kicking finishes. If you ask me,
impactful, isn't it?
my 3 favourite finishes of all time, believe it or not, right? Sweet Chin Music's number 1, Big Boot / Bro Kick's number 2, the Buzzsaw Kick's number 3.
Well, I know a lot of people are like that.
Yeah. So, yours?
My favourite current finisher? It's kind of hard to tear apart. I have probably a couple. I would say I love the GTS, but it's not a move you can get on anyone, as we probably see with both Tensai. But I do like the fact that when he gets a bigger guy, Punk uses the Anaconda again.
Yeah.
But I'm a sucker for the yes lock.
Fair enough.
I just like the fact that the guy went and made it like a move that's legitimate and it hurts people and that, and then made everyone annoyed by the fact he calls it a yes lock.
Okay. What about all time?
All time, I have top 3. That he said.
Yeah.
All time number 1 would be the Tombstone.
Tombstone.
Number 2 would be the Gore / Spear.
Gore, yeah.
I love the Gore / Spear.
Especially when Paul Heyman calls it.
Gore! You mean like that?
Yeah, like that.
And then probably Sweet Chin Music. I love this because once again, I was a fan of the build-up.
Yeah.
And then the impact. But I also like the fact that some of my favourite Sweet Chin Musics are usually out of nowhere ones. The one on Kurt Angle at 21. My favourite one of all time is the one on Shelton Benjamin.
Oh, yes.
On Raw 2000.
So what?
2005.
Next question?
Next question.
And like you said, these are from Anonymous now.
All come from Anonymous on Tumblr.
Cool.
Is if you had to choose, which we obviously do, it's a question.
Yeah.
The American Team Dusty Rhodes.
Or
the Nature Boy Ric Flair. Who do you prefer?
For me, I've always been a mark for Dusty Rhodes.
I can't stand Dustin.
I can't stand Dustin the twat. But Dusty Rhodes. I'd say this for my hatred of Dustin Rhodes. I hope Cody Rhodes becomes the reigning champion just to piss him off. But I love the work ethic, and the personality of Dustin. I love what he stood for. He's like the working man. But I cannot deny Ric Flair's contribution to the business.
That's the problem.
For me, I'm going to go down and say Ric Flair because of everything he's done and the fact that his passion for the wrestling is so deep, he still can't let go, even after a WrestleMania send-off. Which I don't blame the guy. I mean, I was pissed off at the time because but as some guy pointed out in a conversation with Shawn Michaels, just a Twitter user. You go with that. Guy's allowed to make a living.
Yeah.
Just because we don't like it doesn't mean that he can't do it. And that's actually a legitimate point, which I have to admit, yeah, I was wrong on that, because Ric Flair has a right to earn
That still pisses me off.
Okay.
Because it was probably the most heartwarming send-off you'll ever see.
But the guy's got a right to work.
He's got a right to work what he wants. Doesn't mean he has to get into the ring and wrestle.
True, but at the end of the day...
But, for me, I loved The Nature Boy. I loved The Nature Boy in the 70s.
Yep.
The 80s footage that I've watched back now. The 90s when he was... Early 90s when he was with the Horsemen with Barry Windham. The later 90s when he brought them in with that guy, Dean Malenko and Mongo. How the fuck was Mongo ever in the Four Horsemen?
Somebody lost a bet, probably?
Fucking someone, yeah.
So,
but for me,
yeah,
the American Dream, baby, the common man. I tell you right now, the hit maker, the record breaker, the owner in the back, on the ground, the American Dream is in the front, smoking it up. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, I've winding down with kings and queens and slapped it out. It ain't pork and beans. And it's not just because of I can do an imitation. It's not because he was a rounder guy and didn't look like a typical wrestler.
Yeah.
It is, to me, I have been fascinated by wrestlers that could talk me into a building. And I believe, watching old promos, that if I had seen Dusty Rhodes speak just like that, I would have been gone, I've got to go watch that guy. Whether I could have seen him or not, there's something about Dusty Rhodes that Vince McMahon says himself.
Yeah.
He looked like everybody else. So everybody had a pull towards him. Yeah. Not everybody looks like superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah.
Like the Triple H. People don't look like John Cena on your regular street.
Exactly.
People look like CM Punk on your regular street. That's why people can get behind them. But so for me, it's the American Dream Dusty Rhodes.
Next question.
And the interesting thing about this, is that we are split.
Yes.
And of course, we would usually have one more mark.
Yeah.
Who would mention, and I would assume he'd go for Ric Flair.
He'd go for Ric Flair.
But here's the deal.
Yeah.
On the top 50 superstars of all time,
the
DVD by WWE, the superstars were told to pick their favourites.
Yeah.
And the superstars tied them both at the same number.
Interesting.
Number 17.
All right, next question.
So, the next question is favourite Owen Hart memory.
Mine's actually a botch, just because, everyone knows Owen Hart was a lover of ribs, so I don't think he'd mind one guy picking a botch as his favourite. It was a fantastic moment. It was, basically, it was a promo where Owen Hart was explaining why he attacked Bret Hart. And he's on the Titantron. And he's going on this rant. And what he meant to say was, and that's why I kicked the hell out of your leg. What he actually said was, and that's why I kicked your leg out of your leg. And I was just like, nope, done. And for some reason, that's just resonated flat. Later on, it was a clip in Botchamania by Matthew of Newcastle, who, he played that clip, and I just fell on the floor laughing again. I don't know why I like that so much.
For me, it's kind of a lot of memories for me. But Owen always, when I have a smile on my face when I talk about Owen, I have a warm feeling in my heart, because Owen Hart was just one of the best, and we tragically miss him.
Of course.
So for me, it was all the stuff with Davey Boy, his tag team work with Davey Boy.
Yeah.
But more importantly, was when he had the two slammies. And Davey Boy would walk there with his tag title, with his European title, walking down all proud. And then Owen would walk in front of him with his slammies going, yes! I was like, yeah, that was always a memory I see of him just sneaking in front of everyone going with his slammies going, yay! I'm here too! So that's one for me.
Next question.
The next question is your favourite King of the Ring winner.
Probably going to say Edge, because I felt it was I think it was like one of the last times that the King of the Ring really highlighted a guy that wasn't getting enough attention, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. It did with Stone Cold Steve Austin, like it did with, I think, Kurt Angle. I think by the time Brock Lesnar won it,
which was the next year.
Yeah, it was. It kind of felt like, well, of course he's going to win it. It's Brock fucking Lesnar. So I think Edge was the last meaningful person to win it until William Regal won King of the Ring, Obviously got Booker T, who Scott did, but
he started the gimmick afterwards.
But I didn't really, what was behind it. But when William Regal won it, it was a sense of this could really go somewhere. So but then WWE dropped the ball. If they had continued that, I probably would have said William Regal because I popped like a motherfucker when he won. But ultimately, I was let down by that because they did. I mean, first of all, whatever happened to the winner of the King of the Ring getting a shot at the WWE World Title? I'm sorry, that was pretty much a rule at one point. It was
kind of a rule. It was a rule in 01 and 02.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a rule later on that it was just like whoever won the King of the Ring was going to get pushed.
Yeah. So
you've got yourself edged there. For me,
basically, what I'm saying is I'm pissed because Regal didn't get the title. All right. So, but Edge for me was like the last big one. So that kind of resonates as my favorite, as it's also put in the dissension between Edge and Christian.
Yeah, it was a split basically.
Yeah.
For me, it's Ken Shamrock.
Oh, wow.
Because I remember watching that, and even in the final, thinking, nah, Kenny's not going to get it. And sitting there going, Kenny's not going to get it. And we won, going, wow, Kenny got it. And then going, yes, Kenny won. And even when I'm watching it back now, I forget that it's Ken Shamrock who wins the match. Yeah. I'm still watching it going, well, The Rock get. Oh shit, no, that's not how it ends.
I love it. Yeah. Next question.
Next question. Let's have a look. Is this? This is the last question I have on here. So
okay.
I believe it's the last question we'll have on Fan Corner this week.
Okay.
Is The Rock face or heel? What's he more entertaining as?
I'd say face because he tends to put more effort into insulting his enemies. Because he's playing the strong guy, and obviously he connects well with the fans. When he's playing heel, he tends to put himself more in the slightly scared side, the cowardly side. Like, that what you think? Well, a popcorn's fucked, what you think? You know, he plays the more vulnerable side so the opponent can attack him, which is great when you've got a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin to go up against. But when you look at guys like... you look at Bill Goldberg, that didn't work. You look
Rock!
Yeah. You look at guys like... Maybe it would have been interesting to see Rock heel versus Jericho face. That could have been interesting because you look at...
Yeah, you never really got that.
You never got that.
But it was Jericho was a face, but he was a heel against The Rock.
Well, that's the point. So I would say face. What about you?
I'm going to switch it up a bit. I'm going to say that he was probably better as a heel, as the crowd reaction. But I would say he was more entertaining as a face.
Yeah.
You know, when he stopped going this, he stood along with The Rock and allowing the... You know, that was great. Yeah, but when he was a heel, I think he was better as a heel. I think he got the people to hate him so easily because they hated him when he came in anyway.
But I think part of the problem is that people still kind of liked him.
Well, that was the problem with anyone in that era.
Yeah.
You could be a heel. You didn't get booed. You got cheered. You could be the only people who got booed in that era were baby faces that were clean cut and didn't do anything wrong, a la Jericho in WCW until he turned.
Mm.
So, but for me, I enjoyed him as both. For me, I like The Rock as a face because he comes up with a lot more funny stuff.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, popcorn farts with Coach.
Yeah.
And it allowed him to make sudden returns that people were interested in.
Yeah.
Like the return with Eugene, like return to help Foley.
Yes.
You know, some of the biggest moments. But as a heel, I just think as a heel, my example of a heel is when he turned in 98 with McMahon and became the corporate champion.
Right.
And then when he turned in 2003 against Austin and against Goldberg, and he was doing that because before that he was one of the most loved guys, and he instantly got them to hate him.
Yeah.
Which to me was a really... If someone can do that, you're better as a heel.
Fair
because it's harder to make people love you than it is to make people hate you. But at the same point, you've got to have a certain ability to make people hate you.
Yeah, especially when you're that loved.
Yeah.
You know. Well, there you go. Those are the hashtag fan quarter questions, and we'll have obviously more questions next week, we hope. How do we get more questions? By you guys. By sending us your questions either via Twitter to our Twitters, which we'll let you know in a moment, or by visiting the Total Markout Tumblr page, which you can find at tumblr.com/TotalMarkout.
Is this the part of the show that we call hashtag shameless plug?
Yeah, it might be a good idea if I got the address right as well. So how about we see if I can get it right in hashtag shameless plug? So let's first off with the Tumblr. Can I get this right? Let me try this again. It's TotalMarkOut.tumblr.com. I got it right that time. Yay! Hercules! Yeah, you can send us our questions there. Basically, visit the page and then go to that little bit in the corner where if you just put your cursor over it, it just says Ask Question. Click on there. Send us a question. Or you can send us a message via Twitter by contacting Geek King over here, who seems to be the master of the questions. He is at Geek King, which is G33K _KING. Or you can visit the guy who wasn't here but was here in spirit, which is quiet, which we prefer. It is at Erik Van Djismie, which is ErikVandJismie, because the D is silent, just like Djismie was today, and we're so thankful for that. Or you can follow me, I don't know why, maybe you like me ranting, at SteveJones313.
Oh, you fucking do.
At SteveJones313, which is SteveJones313. The numbers, not the letters. You know? And if you don't want to follow us on those, or maybe you already are, and you want to find different places to follow us, you've got Facebook at facebook.com/TotalMarkOut, where you can ask questions there as well.
We do polls. We
do polls. We got pictures up on there. You know, we encourage open discussion about stuff. You know, if you guys want us to talk about something on the show, bring it up and we'll talk about it. And finally, we have a shop.
Buy.
Go to cafepress.com/TotalMarkOut to see all of the Total Markout merchandise. We have mugs, we have t-shirts, we have the whole fucking bag and caboodle. Just visit, buy, and remember, all the money that you make goes towards us, which I think is a good cause.
Which then goes towards the show.
Which goes towards the show, and hopefully, maybe, who knows, maybe we'll actually buy a camera so we'll appear on the actual show with our faces.
Buy!
And effects.
Buy!
I feel kind of weird. Because we're finishing with 5 minutes to spare.
You got a rant?
Nope. I could rant, but I'd rather let's just enjoy the fact that we get to finish on time. You know? So,
I don't know. It feels weird.
It does feel weird.
We're missing something.
It was going to be tough, though, when we got Djismie back in 40 days after his suspension.
What was that wellness policy for again?
I think it's because he decided to attend a party rather than be on the show.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah. That's not really against our wellness, I suppose. You know what, well, Djismie, we are looking forward to having you back on episode 11, because, like I said, we reached the 10th episode. We survived!
It'll be here for 11, trust me.
Oh,
That's
God.
a lucky number.
Oh, God.
Brian Giggs' number.
I refuse to talk about football on this show. Fuck football.
Yeah, that's his dad's number.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been hashtag Total Markout, episode 10 now. Seeing as Djismie is not here, I shall have to play the part of both Djismie and myself, which means Dan can actually
get the last word
in. So, ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to hashtag Total
Markout!